Hi, this is Iris from Cashmere Goat, and in this video we're going to be talking about picking up stitches at the underarm. What we're looking at here is my Anchors summer shirt. That's a pattern by Petite Knit that we are using for our spring knit along at Cashmere Goat. What I have done in my sweater is I've finished the body of the sweater and I've taken my sleeve stitches had been on a barber cord, and what I did just before the video is I took those sleeve stitches and I put them back on my needles so we'd be ready to go. So one thing that I just want to note is that for this summer shirt, most of us using cotton or cotton linen or maybe cotton silk or maybe cotton hemp blend yarns, which are not the same as worsted. So they are, many of them, thick and thin yarns. So they are not going to be as neat or as tidy as you might get if you were using a worsted wool yarn. So for some of you who don't like messy, I'm sorry to tell you, but it might just be a little bit messy. So what we're about to do is look at this area right under here at the underarm. And for my size, I'm supposed to be picking up 9 stitches in this space. Actually, I'm going to zoom right in so you can really see that. So 9 stitches in this space. I always like to pick up two more than what is recommended, because then that allows me to do a little bit of futzing around at the area at the beginning and end of that underarm hole where there might just be a little bit of a hole, given that's just what happens. There's many ways to mitigate for these holes, and a lot of times it's just kind of like playing around, but you can watch, there's other tutorials I'm sure, but I'm just going to show you just a reminder of how to pick up the stitches, and then I'll leave you on your own to figure out your best method for closing that little gap that can appear here. Again, as I said, I like to cast on an extra or pick up an extra stitch at the underarm, just so that, you know, if I need to knit 2 together to try to close that gap, sometimes that can really help. The tool that I like to use for this phase is the little lantern moon crochet hook. The other tool that's really great is the Susan Bates. She has the handy tool. We stock both of these. So I am going to be looking to pick up 11, because again, I'm adding 2 more than what I normally would for my size. So I'm gonna slide my crochet hook under here. I wanna go underneath 2 bars of knitting, and I'm looking for my yarn end over here. Here we go. And the yarn that I'm using is Linello, and Linello is a cotton linen blend with, I think, a little bit of viscose, and it's by Lang. So I'm picking up this little loop. You can see it has such a fun self-striping rainbowy effect. So I've just picked up my first stitch, and I'm just going to lay it right down on my knitting needle. I just find for me personally, it's really hard to pick up stitches without a crochet hook. I just love the control that I have. So let me get myself set up. So next one, I'm going to, I think, hop over here. Again, I've got 2 bars. Let's make sure I've got 2 bars on my hook, pulling through, making kind of a big loop that then I can just drape over that knitting needle and pull it through. Now, if you do end up with some holes at the underarm, like, you know, many of us do, little tiny hole, it will not detract from the overall beauty of your sweater. And hopefully you don't have anyone in your life who is like sticking their nose in your underarm area to just double check on how you know, tiny that hole is, because I don't know if we need those people in our lives. All right, looping that over. So you can see I've started to begin to pick up those stitches. I'm gonna pick up these 2 bars. Those are easy to see. Grab my Linello, pull it through, place it over the needle. I'm going to pause and keep going across, and so I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. This is where I started picking up, and I now have 11 stitches from there to here. But before I move on, just in case you were wondering, I do need to place my beginning of the round marker, and they say in the pattern to do it somewhere in the middle of this underarm. It's a little vague, so I'm just gonna sort of pop that guy in. If you forget to do this on the first round, no big deal. You can just get around to it when you get around to it. So here we go, and I am now ready to start knitting around my round. And so I'm going to pause, and you'll just watch me do that in fast motion. All right, here we are, and I am one stitch before where I joined, and I can see that because here's my tail, and I stopped just one stitch before that. And what I'm going to do is knit into the back loop of these 2 stitches. I'm knitting these 2 together, and you can see it's a little bit funky with that join yarn. And then I'm just going to continue to knit. And now I'm back at the beginning of the round, which it was sort of silly. I put that stitch marker in because if I'm using magic loop, I don't really need the stitch marker. So there it is. So what we've done here today is made a stab at picking up these underarm stitches. And again, I'm going to start my round, and I'm going to do a very similar thing where I decrease, this time by knitting 2 together on this side, just like I did over here with the knit into the back loop on that side. And that's it. I'm ready to keep knitting my sleeve for my Anchor Summer shirt. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us a like, or maybe even leave us a comment on this video. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel of Cashmere Goat. That way you'll never miss an episode of our podcast or of our tutorial videos. Thanks for listening, and happy knitting.